Thank you for your patience, everyone. I can confirm that the meeting is live.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sarah. All right. Well, now we will begin with our meeting, but I see that Diksha has dropped off. So I suppose Diksha is not going to be able to provide the introduction for our new Heritage Planner, who's Jessica. I see Garrett has appeared in typical Zoom fashion. Garrett, do you have a couple of words for introduction before we allow Jessica to introduce herself?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. And yes, Zoom, it's very easy just to appear out of nowhere. So I'm happy to jump in while Diksha's reconnecting. So yeah, I'm very pleased to announce to the committee that we have brought on a second Heritage Planner. So as the committee knows, we typically do have 2 full-time Heritage Planners here with us within the planning division, and we've successfully recruited Jessica Vieira to join our team. So Jessica is a recent graduate from the University of Waterloo and actually has some private and public sector experience, including working a co-op term with the City of Kitchener and also doing a contract position with the City of Kitchener. So someone we've known and seen around and has a heritage interest, and someone I'm really excited to announce that is joining Diksha and myself as part of the heritage team. Diksha, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to say before Jessica takes over. I jumped in for you while you're having audio issues.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that, everybody. It's just not a good day for Zoom meetings, I guess. But yes, you covered everything, and I think we'll turn it over to Jessica to introduce herself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Nice to virtually meet all of you. I think Garrett gave a pretty concise summary of my professional experience. So I will just say that I'm excited to fulfill my duties in this role, and I'll work with you all, or at least see everyone every month at this meeting. Oh, nice to meet you all.
Well, on behalf of the committee, welcome, Jessica. We always have lots of work to do with our Heritage Committee, so we're very glad to have you on board. We'll look forward to working with you for the rest of our term.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move now into our discussion items, the first of which is our Heritage Permit application HPA 2022 IV005, which is the 122 Frederick Street proposed roof replacement. And Diksha is going to provide a brief overview for us. So I'll pass it to you, Diksha.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, apologies for having issues before joining this meeting. So as everybody knows, we have a heritage permit in for 102 Frederick Street, and they have put a heritage permit in for roof replacement. Currently, the roof system that they have, there's been a lot of water infiltration, because of which the roof system has deteriorated significantly. So they are proposing to replace the built-up roof system with a modified bituminous roof system. As part of the exterior physical heritage attributes of this building, the roof itself is not identified and is not designated, but the roof line and the limestone parapet is. And both of, well, the limestone parapet forms part of the repair works of this roof replacement, which is why we have a heritage permit in front of us. As part of this roof replacement, all the materials that are going to be replaced are going to be replaced in kind. And the limestone parapet is going to be repaired wherever there's damage seen. As part of this application as well, they are proposing to install hand guardrails adjacent to the roof hatch system, but that's on the roof itself. So the limestone parapet and the roof line will not be affected. And they are going to take out all the current ductwork and install new ductwork on the roof itself. And again, none of the heritage contributing attributes are going to be affected. So all in all, it's basically a roof replacement in kind. And all of the materials such as the pre-gravel and the metal sheets are going to be replaced in kind. And that's pretty much it for the heritage permit. So if the committee members have any questions, I or Matt Williams from GM Masonry would be happy to answer them.
Great, thanks, Diksha. So as Diksha mentioned, Chris Dawson and Matt Williams are also in attendance to respond to any questions from the committee. So I'll open it up to the committee for questions and comments.
Peter,
Okay, can everybody hear me? Great. Just a quick question. Jean and I were talking about this application earlier and some questions about the replacement of the capstone. In repairing and replacing the capstone, will any of the masonry at the front of the building be affected, or is it anticipated that it will have any repair, or is it just the capstone itself and everything behind it?
Through the chair, I think it's just the capstone and everything behind it. There is going to be no alteration or effect on the building elevations, on the exterior brick elevations. But if Matt, you want to jump in and speak, I think, to my knowledge, it's only on the interior wall of the parapet and the roof that's going to be repaired.
Yes, the capstone is supposed to be salvaged. So unless it comes off and it's there's significant damage to it that can't be repaired, which is unlikely. I think we can, from the state of the stone, salvage it all. It'll be pulled off. All the repairs will be done behind it. And then the same stone will be put on top. So you won't see any difference from the outside when complete.
Great, thanks. Other questions or comments from committee? Councilor Gazzola?
Just a quick comment. As the city is the owner of this building, I hope we're doing everything that we should be doing correctly. So, because we ourselves are the owner of the building. So, thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Gazzola. Ilana?
Yes, was there any damage to the inside of the building from the water that was able to seep in?
Through the chair, not that I'm aware of. Maybe Albert, you can speak.
Yes, I'll just jump in here. Albert Timberdenkate, construction project manager with facilities management at the city of Kitchener. In the past, we did have a bit of drywall ceiling damage, but that had been repaired since the leaks. And we did some roof repair to mitigate those leaks. And now it is time to replace the entire roof, as those repairs were only temporary in nature.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, this item does require a motion. So is there a mover? All right, everybody's hands went up at the same time, like we were all waiting. So Peter, I saw your hand just ahead of everyone else's. So Peter is our mover. The motion that we have is that pursuant to Section 33 of the Ontario Heritage Act, Heritage Permit Application HPA 2022 IV 005 be approved to permit the installation of a new roof system on the property municipally addressed as 122 Frederick Street in accordance with the supporting information submitted with the application. This motion, if it does receive unanimous consent, can be processed under our delegated authority after the committee meeting. Otherwise, as you know, it will go to council for the April 11th meeting, which would be next Monday, I believe. Any comments on the motion itself? All right, seeing none, we'll move to the vote. It's been a little while since we've done this, so if you are, I'm going to go through our roll call, and please just let me know if you are in favor, and then let me know if I've missed you at the end. Councillor Chapman.
In favor.
Councillor Gazzola.
In favor.
Thank you. I don't see Councilor Show. Martin.
Wait, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh,
I'm
I'm
here.
sorry.
I'm not, my camera's not working. I don't know what's going on. My video isn't working, so I'm in favor. And I'll be listening and trying to figure out this video thing while I'm doing that. My apologies.
No worries. My pictures are all bouncing around, so I apologize for missing you. Thank you, Councilor Michaud. Okay, Martin.
In favor.
Thank you. Robin.
In favor.
Thank you. Jean.
In favor.
Peter.
Favor.
Thank you. I'm next. I'm also in favor. And Ilona.
In favor.
Perfect. Thank you. Have I missed anyone? Excellent. All right. So, Sarah, I believe that passes unanimously. So it will be processed under delegated authority following our meeting. All right. So we'll then move to our next discussion item, which is our subcommittee updates. And the first one on our list is decolonizing the heritage process. So Robin, I'll pass it over to you. Oh, and sorry, just before you get started, because Jessica is here and it's her first day, if you could just give a real brief synopsis of what the subcommittees are working on, as well as your update. Thanks.
Awesome. Hi, Jessica, and welcome. Excited to work with you. My name's Robin. My pronouns are she, her, and outside of this committee, I am the Fund Development and Communications Lead at Cambridge, at the Family Counseling Center of Cambridge's North Dumfries, but also a PhD in history. So I have only a little bit of reporting to do back just because the last couple weeks for folks who are disabled or neurodivergent or high risk, of which I fall into that category, have been absolute hell. And I continue and hope that all of you are actively organizing and thinking about how we maybe change some of these things happening on a date that may or may not be less than 2 months away, who knows? Because that is part of the decolonization process, is actually changing who is at the table and who has their voices heard. That's the only way it's going to happen. 150 years of history for this country shows us that. So as a result, I would actually just like to shout out Councillor Chapman for taking the time to reach out to me and schedule a meeting, because one of the complaints and perhaps frustrations I have had with this committee is the lack of councillor on the Decolonizing Heritage Committee, because on the Decolonizing Subcommittee, because that just shows, again, where our priorities as a committee are and what we believe is the most important, because we have a limited amount of time. And so, again, it's really about prioritizing what is important to the community, as it always has been in Heritage. And so after actually I finish this comment, I will be emailing in following up, because I just went through a move at my house. Debbie and I have plans to meet with Sam and hopefully some of the planning staff sometime in the next month or so to discuss some ideas and things that we have in terms of specifically thinking about the terms of engagement with this committee and the ways in which, again, I feel that whiteness continues to be privileged in this space, and that must stop and must end. And so we can do those things. There are paths, there are plans, there are many people doing this work across Canada, and we can choose to do it differently. We just have to make that choice. And so I'm really excited to have that meeting, and hopefully we'll report back to you from there.
Great, thanks, Robin. And you've already been in touch about meeting, so we'll organize that soon also. All right, any comments or questions from members of the committee regarding our Decolonizing the Heritage Process subcommittee? Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, I just want to say, I don't know if I'm officially on the committee. I don't think I committed to that, but I did commit.
No, you committed to helping
Yeah.
with so what I'm saying is you took some time out of your schedule to show that this was an important thing in terms of prioritizing and trying to move that forward. So thank you.
Okay, not a problem. I just can't take on another subcommittee.
Oh
but-
yeah, no, Debbie, I do not think that you're taking on another subcommittee. I'm just saying that that's how we get work done, right? Like it's
Okay.
we actually like try and make it happen and work together.
Okay, just wanted to clarify. Thanks.
All right, well, thank you, Robin, for the update. We'll go to designation and the Municipal Heritage Register, so I'll pass it over to Peter.
Thank you. The designation subcommittee, we met on the 30th of last month, and we're working towards our goal, which is a review of the list of buildings that are on the Heritage Register, but are not a part of the Part 4 or Part 5 designation protection. So they're on the register as buildings of interest, but they do not have the protection of designation. So our goal is to review the 100 or so buildings that are on that list and basically look for likely candidates and update the list, because the list really hasn't been looked at for 10 years. So we started the process, started the tour, and I think our work is cut out for us for the next series of meetings. And we reviewed our first set of buildings. And so it was very interesting. And questions come up regarding some of the buildings as we look at each of them. And so one question came up from our first review, and it involved the very first building that we looked at, and that was City Hall, which is a building of interest, but does not have heritage designation. So part of our review, we look at the statements of significance and see what it is, what are the aspects of this building that are really the valuable parts. As part of the statement of significance for the City Hall, it included the square, the civic square in the front of the building, in the list of heritage attributes. So our question is, that square has just undergone a really extensive renovation, multi-million dollars, multi-year. But if that square was part of the heritage attribute of a building that's on that list, why did that not come to the committee, or was it all handled at a staff level, or it kind of struck us that for something that significant that it would have come through the committee, but it didn't. So we're just kind of wondering, why is that? Is it part of a process that we don't know? So that's the question that we have for staff. And we're not looking for you to answer that question right away, because it will probably take some investigation. But I think that we'll probably have questions of various types that will arise from our review. But anyway, that's where we stand.
Thanks, Peter. Questions or comments for our designation of the Municipal Heritage Register Subcommittee? Jane?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through to Peter. I appreciate your observation and the question to staff, and I would agree with you. It's a very significant part of the building and the landscape. And very good question. Why would something as significant as this piece of the puzzle not come before our committee, before the work was engaged and what was happening and redone? However, so I appreciate that. But Peter, I'm curious how many buildings so far your committee has toured. And 7, very good, because it takes a lot. Do each of the members look at them and bring it back, or do you go as a group?
we go through each one. The first question we ask is it still there?
Good question. Exactly.
Has it been renovated? Like for example, we came across one that we went. It was the building by the train station that the Small Tiger Coffee is in. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So on the list, it has the building as unrenovated, right? And
right.
And it's good. And now it has been, beautifully repurposed, and it's like a real, it's a real treat to see that's happened. But in other ones, for example, we're looking at the street view of the building as compared to the statement of significance pictures, and we realize that the windows have been replaced on the building, but the windows were part of the statement of significance for the heritage or for the things, but they've been replaced, right? So it's really interesting to see sort of the what 10 years does and the difference that can make in those buildings.
Right. Was there any building that really struck the committee? It's highly important that we should move on.
Too early. It's too early for that question, G.
I wait for your next round, maybe September.
Give us a couple. Give us a couple. We'll have some good candidates.
And you've got the whole summer to work. Good for walking. Thank you.
Councillor Gazzola.
Just a couple of questions for Peter. Did you say that the new city hall is designated?
No, it's on the heritage. It's on the list of buildings of heritage interest. So these are the undesignated buildings.
Okay, so it is on the list. How up to date is that list? I didn't realize that it was up to that far up to date.
That list is up to date as of 2012.
Oh, it is. Okay, so I suspect it's been an oversight that because it is still relatively new, and we obviously someone didn't think that, then probably, like I myself didn't realize that the list was that far updated and that the city hall was on the list. So I can see
it's surprising the number of things that are owned by the city that are on the list.
Would the former interim city hall site, is it on the list?
No,
it isn't. Thank you. Thank you.
Other questions or comments for designations in the Municipal Heritage Register Subcommittee? All right. Next subcommittee is the effects of heritage designation on affordability. So Martin, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you to the chair. Yes, so we, the purpose of our subcommittee is to examine the effects of heritage designations on the overall affordability of housing in the city of Kitchener. Our project is to complete a literature review. So we're just going to look at the research that exists out there and see if there's any type of conclusion that we can draw from that literature. We would like to, as much as possible, and this of course depends on the results of our research, but if we do come to some kind of conclusion, then we would want to, as accessibly as possible, kind of create some kind of a simple kind of tool to kind of look at what that effect might be. But that's we're kind of earlier on, and we're still very early on in our literature review, so I don't want to kind of jump the gun on where we might come with this research. So far we've kind of outlined how we would like that research to look what our standards are, and we've decided to meet more regularly. So far it's just Jordan and myself, and Sam is joining in where she can, as and we're still open to having more members, very much so. One thing to consider is that while we are having more regular meetings, there's also opportunities for people that aren't able to make them. So for now, we're meeting monthly. The other thing to kind of update now that we have new heritage staff is before the new year, Jordan had been reaching out to people at University of Waterloo in the planning department, and I had been reaching out to people at Wilfrid Laurier University in the economics department. Jordan in particular spoke to people in the involved with the planning library. And one of the things that we were talking about beforehand was the opportunity for so people outside to assist in some of the work of this subcommittee, particularly, with their kind of academic expertise. And one of the things that was brought up by one of the people that we're speaking to was the possibility of some kind of formal recognition, whether it's just kind of stating formally that these people in groups assisted in this work in certain respects. So one of the things that kind of going to the heritage staff would be just kind of talking about what the implications of that might be, whether or not we can do that, and whether or not there are kind of any considerations that need to be made for that. And that would help us move forward with continuing that conversation with the academic staff that we've reached out to. So our next meeting is coming up at the end of this month. If people have any questions, of course, welcome to ask. We're looking to get much more involved in the coming months now that we have more regular meetings, and both of our schedules are more kind of amenable to having those meetings. But yes, if there are any questions, people can certainly ask.
Okay, thanks, Martin. Questions or comments about the effects of heritage designation on affordability? Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I heard correctly what you were saying, Martin. You said they've asked for financial compensation for.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
I misheard you.
Yeah, recognition, and I think that that could mean simply kind of formally stating these people assisted with this work in this capacity. No, it's not financial compensation.
Okay, that's what I thought you were saying. So I'll defer to the staff for the recognition. I mean, I think it's a great idea. I think I don't see any reason why we couldn't recognize them, but staff might have a better assessment of that.
All right, not seeing any other questions or comments. Thank you, Martin. All right, and our last subcommittee is promoting cultural heritage, so I will pass it over to Jean for that update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the Heritage Promotion Committee met yesterday, April 4th, and our agenda was mainly about updating our progress and where we are with the promotion. So one of the things we talked about to promote heritage were tours. And we felt that why should we be creating new ones when there seem to be these tours available? And how would we promote the existing tours? So, for instance, and I'm sure everybody is aware of the wonderful response that the leader for the Black History Sites in Kitchener has had. And we felt this is important to promote. And I guess our concern, and maybe Jessica and Garrett, maybe you can help us dialogue with Kitchener's media staff as to the method of promoting these existing tours. So that was one item. And then the other thing is, how do we share what is happening in our heritage conservation districts? The promotion of the people who are living in those areas and who have events. And Ilona emphasized this one, that a recent event, and maybe it's going to be expanded, for the Civic Center Heritage Conservation District. It's called Heritage and Folklore, an event. And I'll let you let Ilona maybe expand. Would you like to do that now, Ilona?
Sure. So it's just an idea that was raised at our annual meeting for the Old Berlin Town Neighborhood Association. And what we're planning to do is gather together community members who are interested in talking more about the heritage of their properties, or just learning more about the different homes and just different people who lived in that area, to dig a little bit deeper. And so this is an idea similar to a book club, where we would just discuss, different stories that we became aware of, do some research at the library, that kind of thing, sort of dig into it, and share these stories amongst people who are interested in our community. So this has not been established yet, but it is one of the ideas that was raised at our annual meeting that we're planning to move forward with.
And you also had a very interesting event. It had to do with cookbooks.
So this was for our, again, our neighborhood association newsletter. One of the things that I think that helps to connect people with their communities or the history of their communities is to find things that have been left behind, or things that, stories that we can find. And one of the prominent homes in our area is Sonac, which is at the corner of Margaret and Queen. And this used to be the Breithaupt home. And one of the women that lived there was Lillian Breithaupt. And I actually found a couple of recipes in the 1906 Berlin cookbook, which was a cookbook that was had published recipes from different people across Berlin at the time. And it was just interesting to dig through these recipes and to see the comments in them. And so I just pulled out two of them that related that Lillian had put in that cookbook, and published them in our local newsletter.
So which recipe did you like the best?
The maple fudge.
Okay. We'll have it for our next meeting.
For sure.
Going on then, the other thought we had was, how could we train volunteers to provide tours of our heritage neighborhoods, or even the downtown and so on, and some of the other districts? And we came up with a thought about enlisting senior high school students, or approaching the university history programs for students and seeing if they might be interested in some kind of a project in taking this on. So this would involve probably finding interested teachers and professors who might do this. And there probably would be concern about, from the city's point of view, and I think maybe from those who look after students, responsibility and insurance and some of those things. So perhaps we can talk further with our staff on that. Now, another promotion that we had been looking at was the Willow Lake Storyboard. And I will say that we have collected the information for the script and photos for this storyboard. And now we're at the stage of production, and how do we assemble the information and make sure the wording, and I'm sure we have to contact our city's media department to have a look at that. Another one that should be on our list is MEG HQ, or the Cold War Nuclear Bunker. And as you recall, April of last year, we had a presentation on the heritage impact assessment. And there was, in my opinion, general agreement, and looking at the minutes, general agreement that this structure was supposed to be, it was important enough to be preserved and should be. I have been requested by the North Waterloo Architecture Conservancy of Ontario, the local branch, to write an article for their upcoming newsletter. So I've been very busy researching minutes from the county court, Waterloo County Council, about how this bunker came to be, and you have to have a motion to approve emergency services, those things. Also, I did see in the minutes Robin's reference that we, before any interpretation, but we're not, region isn't at that point as yet, the cultural heritage, but the book, Give Me Shelter, The Failure of Canada's Cold War Civil Defense by Andrew Birch. And we have, I'm very pleased that I was able to access that book through the Kitchener Public Library. So I'll have a look at that. And after I finish, I'm going to ask if you have any comments about this. And I really need to say that we need to convince the general public across the region as to the importance, and the residents of the city of Kitchener, the importance of keeping this site. The regional council, Waterloo Regional Municipality, is the owner of the bunker. It's formerly the Emergency Services place. MAG HQ, Municipal Emergency Government Headquarters. That's how it originally known. But anyway, there was a lot of back and forth as to whether money would be put into the budget of 2022, and it was agreed to put the money in the budget to stabilize it. So we're removing, or I should say the region is, removing the asbestos, the mold, determine the waterproofing membrane that needs to go back on to keep it safe, and repair the sod roof covering. So those are things that I understand the region is busy exploring, and will have a contract to do this work. There's one more item that we didn't talk about, but it's come across my thinking about promotion, and I don't know how this would be, but as you're aware that out on Fisher Holman, there is a road widening, and in there we have several, we've had archaeological digs going on, and there are Indigenous artifacts coming there. And I think, and I don't know how this, I understand that several Indigenous groups are working, and the region has been working with this, but it seems to me that in some way we can recognize this site and how to do that sensitively. And we must be very, very concerned about how we work with them and the region. So that's where it's just a thought. Before I take the question on the Indigenous, I'd like to go back to the region, the bunker. And if any of you have comments as to, thoughts for me to keep pursuing this. I see Robin's hand.
Yeah, so I actually have a lot of comments and general comments, even just about this committee and kind of the approach that you all are taking. Because I see a lot of the value in what you're doing, but I also don't see the full conversation being had. And so as far as, for example, like, just to be frank and honest with folks, I continue to be really uncomfortable with the fact that we as a committee, with the power we have here, think that it is appropriate to for someone who has created a Black History talk and tour, that we are somehow not exploiting them by not actually like there's an article out there about how that tour came to be, if you pay attention to the local media and things that are going on. And it is our responsibility as a committee to not only promote them, but also actively like there are power dynamics here that are economic, that matter and need to be addressed, which is why I continue to call for us doing some decolonizing work and personal bias work as members of this committee before we continue to cause more harm, because these issues are very nuanced and complicated. And that's why it's taken me a long time to get here to be able to say this, because I did a 50-page paper on this exact process for my comprehensive exams with Dr. Jonathan Vance. But in addition to that, as far as specifically talking about the bunker, so I said this to Debbie when we met last week. I am the Diefenbunker's #1 fan in Canada. I can tell you that. No one is more pleased. I literally skip around while I am in that site because I love Cold War history so much. And the fact that I, Robin Schwartz, can be in a living piece of history, wow. But at this time, and I need this put in the discussion and notes, I do not support saving the bunker, even though I personally want that to happen, because I do not see the region of Waterloo investing financially in the other heritage work that is being done by grassroots activists locally unpaid. And it is not okay. And so until we are actually seeing these as a conversation together and as stories that are intertwined, and I want to just draw everyone's attention to the fact that Laurier did just hire a new Waterloo region-based historian in the writing department. His name is Elliot Worsfold, and his dissertation came out in 2018 and talks about a lot of these issues and the ways in which our community managed them in the 50s and 60s. And so these are not new conversations. The stuff that I am saying, there are white women in that dissertation who said the exact same thing at that time. So if you are not familiar with that research, again, this is that decolonizing process of actually going back and doing a historiographical assessment. And so it is just very important to me that as we advocate, that folks recognize who is getting money in this community and why, and the ways in which money is not being given to grassroots groups who are doing exactly what Alona said, which is telling community stories in different ways. And I can say that because I have done extensive heritage work here locally, and none of you know who I am. And so has Elliot. And there are lots of people like us, and Sam would be another person who do free labor because it is our life's work, our passion. We are historians, and then it gets ignored. And so I really want to see us thinking about who does not see themselves in heritage, because I don't see myself in heritage. I did not want to and have never engaged with the heritage sector because of how toxic these spaces are for people like me. Thank you.
If I may, Madam Chair, I'd like to clarify your comment, Robin, about grassroots. I, and along with many, many others, have never been paid a cent. The Waterloo Historical Society, they have never been paid a cent, and they have done extensive research. People who have worked with the Grand River Conservation Authority in history have never been paid. So I'd like to clarify your statement about grassroots groups not being paid. Could you clarify for me?
Yeah, it's about who has access to grant resources and whose grants are getting approved and who's being given time and resources by the folks who have that power in the heritage sector. I'm a grant writer, and I know as someone who also was the SSHRC recipient for a heritage-based project, how certain words are not accepted in those spaces and are in fact will make it so that your project will never move forward. And that has been true for 30 years.
All right. Could you give us an example?
Well, Land Back's a really great example right now. I have yet to see Land Back get any of the money that they are asking for from the region. And if you do not see Land Back as a heritage process, that's where I have, like, again, we would disagree on whether or not that is heritage work, because I would personally see that as heritage, given that it is what their whole goal is, reclaiming identity and processes and building community spaces that allow people to be their best selves and learn that history in community, which is really beautiful. I don't know if folks here have been to some of the Land Back events. There was a really great one on September 30th, the new residential school survivor day in Victoria Park, that folks were invited to as a part of, normally that space is closed, but people were included, and it was very heritage based. But the idea of heritage, again, it's the difference between heritage as practice versus heritage as history. So I see, as a historian of heritage, I see myself as an actor in this, and understanding, again, where resources are being given, what time is being invested, because again, you're right, Jean, we aren't being paid. Heritage has been dramatically underfunded across this country over the last 30 years, other than Historica Canada, whose CEO for some reason still makes $500,000. Sam, I don't know about you, but I'd really love some of that money to help me finish my dissertation. And I can't see a world where I will ever even make that much money, if not accept it. Like I would never accept someone paying me that much for that role. That's ridiculous. Who in their right mind says that that's how much they deserve? And so, yeah, it's about where we're investing our resources. And I think that what continues to happen, and I know this because my dissertation is post-1945 social justice, like it's all kind of together in that, because I have ADHD, I've really struggled to pick one research area. And so I've done them all. And I've seen how, for example, like here's another great example, Expo 67, huge heritage project, right? Specific money was invested through the Canada 100th anniversary project into community projects. That's why we have so many centennial arenas and various things across this country that have the word centennial attached to them. Do you think that Indigenous communities got given that money to do things that they wanted? Because they didn't. I can tell you, I have the book on the guy who was yelling and taking over the Department of Indigenous Affairs. Like, it's about who is, and I know this is in a broader conversation, because what I'm actually calling for is whatever a lot of folks have been calling for, is defunding the police. I want the bunker to stay. I believe that, I love the bunker, and I think it would be so great for the region. But ethically and morally, as someone who understands how many pieces are moving here, I can't be on the record saying that in 2022. I just can't.
Thanks, Robin. Jean?
I wonder if anyone else has any comments with respect to Robin's comments. I would agree with Robin that this is a large topic, and how funding happens. However, I have to reiterate, Robin, that I have been in the business, I won't say business, in this volunteer business for over 40 years. And I have not been paid a cent, but I did it for that. Okay, I've been recognized, and that's been very wonderful. But I just think of all the people and who have worked with me on projects, and I think of in Ilona's neighborhood, the person who came up with that food. The cookbook and the let's see, folklore and heritage, and the person Donna Keel, she has been working for that neighborhood since the late 90s, the 2000s, the woman has received nothing and has to advocate at City Hall over and over and over to be heard.
Can I ask just one question here though, Jean?
Yeah.
Here's the difference, and this is just something that I really want folks to be aware of in terms of privilege and identities. I need to know more information than this person wasn't paid when I look at things equitably. And I just need to put that out there in terms of, like, are they living in poverty doing heritage work? Or do they have a husband? Do they have a this? Like that discussion of the fact, do you own a home? Like, how many people on this committee are renters? All of that really matters. And it matters in terms of whether or not you can do unpaid work, because I have been funding my advocacy work off the side of my desk for 5 years. As in, like, I took my current job because I have the flexibility in the type of work that I do so that I can do this work unpaid. But I'm still worried about losing my home anytime because I'm 33 and didn't get married when I was supposed to, and this and that and this. And so, like, I agree with you, no one's getting paid, but why people aren't getting paid and their ability to do heritage work is based on whether or not you have socioeconomic determinants of other things in your life. That's just a fact, and the committee needs to recognize and think about that when we're choosing what we do.
Through the chair.
Yes, Sarah.
I did just want to step in very quickly to say that we do not encourage debate. I think that two very, different opinions have been very fulsomely explored in this discussion, and I would now perhaps suggest, if the chair is willing, that we hear from Martin.
Thanks, Sarah. Martin.
Hi. So I also had comments in response to, broadly to Robin's and Jean's comments. So I don't know if this would fall under the category of debate. I mean, I would just be sharing my comments that I do broadly agree with the idea of both. I also, there's a lot that I like about the bunker as well. And I also see the value of taking a step back and seeing, where are we placing our resources? Are we placing our resources, and are we encouraging kind of the region to place their resources in areas that are underserved? And I think specifically with heritage as well. And the one thing that I also wanted to say about the bunker is that, some of the, I just wanted to kind of, when it comes to the bunker or anything else that's kind of, public investments, those costs are more transparent. They're more clear, and some hesitation might come from that fact. But I think any decision we make, and this is what we're trying to kind of sort out as best as we can through the Heritage and Affordability subcommittee, is that there is at the very least the possibility of costs that might not be as obvious in other respects. So I guess my two comments are, I do see the value of looking at more broadly at what we support, and also when it comes to the questions of costs for anything, and it could be something else that we're supporting more directly with public funds, or encouraging the region to support with their public funds. Everything we do has the potential of having a cost. It's just more apparent in the case of the bunker, in the case of supporting grassroots groups that are trying to change some of the conversations about heritage as well.
Great, thanks, Martin. Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think discussions like this are very valuable in a committee of this sort. I mean, it's unfortunate that we're being told that debates aren't permitted, and I mean, we could probably go on for another few hours. So I think at some point, maybe it has to be had, and but that's all I want to say. I don't know where I'm going with it, but I just these things, if they come up, they have to come up and they have to be dealt with, and not, we can't pretend that they're not there. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Councillor Chapman. I will, of course, remind the committee that a great place to have conversations like this are in our subcommittees that are less structured than our committee meetings. So hopefully we can have some good conversations there as well. Are there any further comments or questions regarding the Promoting Cultural Heritage Subcommittee? All right, well, thank you to everyone who shared their thoughts on this today. I think it's a really important conversation, and one that I really do hope that we will continue to have as we move forward with all of our work and all of our subcommittees that are sort of slowly starting to come together and have conversations with each other as well, which is exactly what I was hoping to see. So we'll move on to our next discussion item, which is the status updates regarding heritage best practices and 2022 priorities and any heritage impact assessment follow-ups. Diksha, any status updates for us? I guess Garrett can also provide any status updates if there are any.
Madam Chair, no updates from me.
Great, that makes this an easy item. Thanks both. All right, so the last item on our agenda is the heritage permit application tracking sheet, which is attached to the end of our agenda. So you can take a look at that if you have any interest. All right, any final comments on heritage permit applications? All right, great. Thanks, everyone. A whole hour early today. That was a very fruitful meeting. So thank you all for attending, and we will see you at the beginning of May